Yes, there we go. The Shelter FootyCast live from BackChat Studios. That's the Southern River Band, the local lads out of Thornley. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings with you on this Thursday morning previewing round 18. G'day, Skeet. How are you?
Hello, Scully. Feeling pretty good with life at the moment. Just
Why's that?
well, the good guys. Sometimes the good guys finish last. Sometimes they win. We saw it with Matt Ebden at Wimbledon. We saw it even with Nick Kyrgios finishing last of two.
Hey, he's a good guy.
No, he's a good guy. But no, last night, State of Origin. And look, if you're a neutral, which you are.
Yeah, I'm a neutral, yeah.
You got to hope that Queensland knocks over the Blues.
Why?
Because
Why?
Victorians and New South Wales would always hate each other. So, barrack for the underdogs. Mate, Queensland, you go up there shortly, you will realise that they're laid back, very easygoing people who have their passion, on a serious note, their passion for State of Origin is above and beyond anything I've ever seen.
Did you watch it? Did you?
I watched the last 15 minutes. This sounds really weird.
You didn't watch the game?
I was not that I was nervous. I thought, we're going to get beaten here. I hate to see. I'm not a good loser, as you've seen. So I watched the last 10 minutes. We're up 16-12, and I'm sitting there, and then with about 4 minutes to go, Ben Hunt intercepts and starts heading towards a trial, and I've jumped out of my chair, my daughters and my wife, and I've actually yelled at the screen, "Go!" And I said that 3 times, and they actually got upset with me. And I said, I didn't swear. I just barracked for 5 seconds for Hunt to score the try.
Wow.
Anyway, so
I saw Dan Conster on Twitter said he'd hate to be a packet of Jats crackers right now in Redding's household.
Oh, smash them all. Seriously. That's a good result for mankind.
Very good. Well done. I saw some reactions from Andrew Johns. He was not happy. He's a
saltiness to the maximum.
I have to cop this bullshit for the next 12 months on live TV.
It's brilliant. Unless there's some theatre there,
yes.
It didn't look like it. If he was playing that role deliberately, he's a genius.
He looked like he was at a funeral. He is flat as. You know where to find us on socials now, hopefully. Shelter FootyCast on Instagram. You can send us an email, footycast@shelterbrewing.com.au. That's for all your regional footy stories. Anything you see out and about, we might get you a slab of Shelters out to you. You can watch us on YouTube if you are listening to this podcast, or if you're listening to the podcast, if you're watching the YouTube show, you can listen to us on the podcast. This is all brought to you by Shelter. The boys down in Busselton doing great stuff. Most of the BackChat crew, so we're here in BackChat Studios, been down in Busselton the last week. Graphic designer was down there. We had Dan Const down there. I missed the invite. Did you get an invite down there?
Well, clearly we're just keep chugging along, just doing the hard yards. That's okay. We'll let the guys have a breather because we've got a huge last 7 or 8 weeks of the season to go.
Yes, that's right. The Belters with Shelter. I might get Charlie to just have a little look at that from the review last week and chuck some of that. But that's coming up down at Shelter. You might want to just get your tickets to that, I reckon, because it's going to be a big day down at Shelter Brewery. Let's get... you've got it for me. That was very good, Charlie. Well done. Thursday, the 21st of July. So
next Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday. So if you haven't got your tickets to that, Mark Reddings will be running a karaoke upstairs. Is that what was happening or not? We're not doing that. You're not, or you are.
I do have some radio commitments in between all that, but I put it this way: when I get down there, I will definitely jump on board and carry on like a goose.
It'll be sing-alongs, it'll be karaoke, it'll be silent disco, you got beers, you got food. It'll be a great day down there. Get down there Thursday the 21st of July, 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. It'll be an absolute belter at Shelter.
Absolutely. Just $65 a ticket and well worth it. Cabinfeverfest.com.au for tickets. So get along, support local community.
Yes.
And a great bunch of lads and girls who put on a fantastic show.
Yep, very good. Now let's get into it. The big moments of the round here in round 18 coming up. David Noble falls on his sword. He's sacked from North Melbourne.
Yeah, no surprise, is it? And look, isn't it funny? It's like the pile-on begins 6 or 7 weeks ago when it's only a matter of time before he gets sacked. When he gets sacked, the sympathy levels from everyone goes through the roof.
Correct.
It's really, and to be honest with you, look, the 5 from 38 matches, 5 wins from 38 matches is horrible reading.
Yep.
This bloke has had, less than 18 months or thereabouts to get his team, his club up and running. So did he get enough time? Did he get the support he required? And did the people who appointed him, because this is always the case, the people who appointed him move on? They find someone else.
Yeah. So I spoke about this last night on Fox Footy. one man has not made it wouldn't improve or wouldn't bring down the club. It's more than one man, right? And questions are going to be asked. What's going on at North Melbourne? So they had Reece Shaw. That didn't work, did it?
No.
But he didn't appoint himself. He was appointed by someone. David Noble has not worked. It hasn't worked. And Sonia Hood spoke about that. She said those words. Has not worked. Can you blame David Noble, or is it the football club? It's got to be more than David Noble. Removing him is not going to improve things.
Yeah, but it's the easy answer, as you know. It is the easiest answer to when you're not going to clean out the whole list. You're not going to clean out the whole administration. You are going to find an easier solution by giving David Noble a release from his duties and going on the hunt for somebody else. And go back in place what they've had. Reece Shaw, I think he was an assistant coach turned caretaker coach from memory, and had some results, got the job. And as you said, their next coach, just looking ahead, I don't think can afford to go with an untried. I think they will try for an experienced coach, just given what has happened the previous two times.
Is it correct to say that David Noble hadn't coached his own team before he came into North Melbourne?
To my knowledge. Of course, he was up at Brisbane.
Been in football for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, why would you get someone in that hasn't coached a side into a team like North Melbourne?
Well, let me throw you this. I mean, Chris Fagan, slightly similar background, administration.
But a different list.
Yeah, totally different list, yeah.
I think you're exactly right. They've got to get someone with experience to take over, because it's a complete shambles.
Yeah.
Complete shambles. And But on David Noble, the sympathy does come because I don't think it's his fault.
There was talk about his temper and his behaviour at times, and he apologised after that big loss to Geelong or Melbourne, I think it was, and he was very remorseful that he might have upset a few players along the way. The other one that was really curious was losing a couple of key recruiters during the course of the year.
That's right.
Now, whether that's directly related to the coach or whether there were other aspects of the club that were not going well. Look, they're out of debt. They had an $8 million debt. That's been wiped out. So financially, they're not in a parlous position.
Yes.
But in a relevance position, they don't have much in the competition at the moment. In fact, they've got none.
No.
So that's sad. And look, there's a lot of North Melbourne. As a young West Aussie, you'd watch the winners and you'd see the Cracker brothers. You'd see Ross Glendenning. Yep. You'd see some great players.
Move it into the 90s then as well. Archer, Carey, Simpson.
Of course. Oh, yeah. It's a famous club. And they instigated Friday night footy. They were the pioneers of Friday night footy. So, look, the broadcasting deal means they will be safe long term. When they say they, 18 clubs in there. So
yes,
the push will be for them to either go to Tasmania. There'll be all sorts of suggestions made. But, if you're a North Melbourne supporter, you'd be feeling a bit uncertain about your future.
Patch Adams steps into the unenviable position of coaching.
He's 34.
Yeah, I played against him. Yeah. Bo Waters ran through him one day on the field. It was the biggest hit I've ever seen. And he ended his career through concussion. So hopefully he's going well and he can turn him around, but I don't think he will, and I don't think that's the pressure that's on him. He doesn't have to turn him around in 6 weeks.
He's not going to need the job, is he?
No. Well, who knows? Reports on a potential move for Buddy Franklin to a West Australian team, perhaps. I don't know. Apparently he's not happy with the deal that Sydney put on the table. He wants $800,000. They want to give him $500,000, and they're all numbers that are made up. Let's be honest. We don't actually know. But let's just say that he wants more than Sydney wants to pay him. Well, what should happen here? Is he worth a lot of, he's 35 years old?
Well, put this way, I'm not sure the Budsters actually had to go through many contract negotiations in the past decade because he's had a pretty long-term deal, so him and his manager mightn't quite understand how things roll at the moment. Look, I would suggest that there's some posturing here, and the low ball offer is what has been thrown out there. I would think that if Buddy doesn't play on with Sydney next year, he retires. Yes. I can't see him going to another club for, 1 year? I just don't feel that's... I mean, as much as Buddy's been good for Sydney, I think Sydney's also been really good to Buddy with that deal that he had. Now, I'm not sure the numbers like you, but it would surprise me if they don't find some common ground after what's been a really, no premierships, but a very successful partnership.
People think it's romantic to get Buddy to Western Australia, back to Western Australia. Look, he's lived in Melbourne for most of his life. He's now moved to Sydney. He won't... I don't think...
Can you imagine Jacinta rocking up and going, okay, I'm off to Perth? I mean, seriously, we love this city.
Yeah.
But, can I see her wandering through Karrinyup Shopping Centre just looking for some...
Maybe. It's actually world-class, Karrinyup.
I know, actually, my wife works there, so I should give it a pump up.
But in lifestyle, one thing, but actually getting him to Fremantle aren't going to go and get Buddy, just so you know. Fremantle will not be getting Lance Franklin. And if they do, they've just thrown the last 6 years of list building down the toilet.
And what would West Coast, who are saying goodbye to a 34-year-old, 35-year-old, get another 35-year-old?
He's not coming to Western Australia.
No,
the garbage that gets
He'll
rolled
stay
out
at
sometimes.
Sydney. Where do you think he'll end up next year?
Sydney.
Or bust. That's
He won't be bust. If Sydney won't sign him,
he'll retire. That's what I'm saying.
No, he'll go somewhere.
You think he'll go somewhere else?
Oh, he's playing too good a footy. His footy's been very good. Very good.
Yeah, no, you stay at Sydney. And look,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think he'll stay at Sydney. But if they can't get it done,
the Giants?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Oh, there you go. Mark Ranning's heard it here first. West Coast and Freo preview. Just watch that microphone of yours, Sked. Just dropping down a little bit. You might have to give it a little bit of a tweak.
Need a bit of stiffening up.
Yeah, there you go. Fremantle v Sydney. Let's get into the West Australian side of things. Let's hope they don't add if you tighten that up there, Skate, you just give it a little tight. Yeah, you got it.
You know what?
Yeah,
These hands haven't done a lot of manual labour over the years, so we'll just see if that works. Charlie's got to realise who he's working with here.
Charlie, the young man, didn't tighten it up properly. Fremantle v Sydney at Optus Stadium. Home game for Fremantle. I know you don't love Sydney, Skate.
No,
but I think this is a danger game for Fremantle.
Yeah, they're just a team that can bob up. We saw, I think it was a game last year.
Yep.
From memory, night game. I think it's last year. They'll mould into each other. Really tight game of footy, and I think Fremantle had to grind that out. I suspect they'll have to do it again.
It's a top 8 clash. So Freo are sitting inside the top 4. Sydney are down the bottom of the 8, but they need to win to continue their drive towards a good finals finishing position. I sort of, my head goes to how does Sydney beat Fremantle, and I think Fremantle have demonstrated that they hold up against the best sides. Like, that's unquestionable at this stage of the season. But how you beat Fremantle is fast ball movement. They are susceptible, as every team in the AFL is if you can move the ball quickly and efficiently and not succumb to their pressure, it leaves a defence vulnerable. What Fremantle does well is set up really well, really organised behind the footy. If you move it slowly at any point, it gives the Fremantle defenders and then the midfielders in front of them, and then their forward line gets to put pressure on the opposition. If you move it quickly, none of those things can happen. And I think Sydney is actually built to do that. That's why I think it's a danger game. I think Sydney is the sort of side that can get those quick handballs going out of the back line. We've seen it for a fairly long time from Sydney. That's how they play when they do play well. They get Lloyd and the Lizard flying out of the back line and then kicking into Papley and Franklin's flying, and there's all this space. That's how they beat them. Whether or not they can do it, that's another question. But I think that's how they get it done.
Sorry, who's the Lizard?
The Lizard, Blakely.
Okay, fair enough.
No, you don't know who the Lizard is.
Well, sorry, but if someone's watching or listening to this and you say the Lizard...
I just forgot his first name. It's Blakely.
Yeah.
What's his first name?
It's not Connor.
Yeah.
It's...
Blakey.
Blakey, not Blakely.
Blakey.
Yeah, the son of John.
Charlie.
The son of John.
Yeah, son of John is the Lizard. Okay, that's who the Lizard is.
Now, just in brief, we spoke on radio last night to Dane Rampy, and essentially to back up what you said, Dane said, I said, what makes Freo so good? He said, team defence.
Yep.
Full stop. And that's not full stop, but team defence is their one wood. And so you've summed it up in that sense.
I didn't actually listen to that interview, so I've done well to mimic what the Sydney side is saying. Team defence, and when you hear that, as someone who's listening, is the ability for the team to switch on when the opposition has the footy, right? And the good team defences are quicker than the poor team defences to set up. But it also means if you can move the ball quickly, team defence becomes a bit irrelevant because they don't have time and it's a scrambled game. And that's what Richmond's been able to pull sides apart because it's just so difficult to defend against them.
Yep.
That's what Sydney need to do. Whether or not they can do it, who knows? Alex Pearce should play again this week.
No, I'm having a bit of a question mark over that. They trained last night, by the way, and Alex Pearce walked laps. So I'm
not playing. No,
that's
absolutely
not playing. I'll step on there and say, no, I don't think he will play the calf. He's got a history of being a bit suspect. So even though he's the matchup for Buddy, ideally.
What about Blake Acres and Heath Chapman?
They did a lot more than, obviously, Alex, and they're right to go, I'm told.
Well, Blake Acres comes back in, no question.
Yeah. But the question also has to be asked, they've beaten Port Adelaide here. They went over and beat St Kilda by 41. Justin Longmuir in the press conference last night suggested, he hates the thought of not staying loyal to those that do the job. So I think you're right. I think
Blake Acres would be in their top three best and fairest.
I agree.
He comes in.
Blake Acres comes in, maybe not Heath Chapman, but I think...
He's been out for too long.
Yes.
I think he needs to go through the waffle.
Well, he has gone through the waffle.
Sorry.
Another game or two.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but to essentially, I think you're right. Blake Acres comes back in, but I think Justin Longmuir needed to, and he did say, look, at least show the group that's there, look, I do value you. You've been terrific over the last couple of weeks. And Acres, I think anyone in the squad will realise that he deserves a spot back.
That's important in the list as well, when you know that if you play well, you keep your spot.
True.
As a player, if you play well and constantly getting dropped, it starts sort of filtering throughout the group.
Like Bailey Banfield's about to be...
Yeah, well, correct. Yeah, so it is important for the coaches to show faith in people, and so it's good to hear that JL's like that. Who wins?
And by the way, Peter Laddams, former Port player, broke his thumb.
Yep, out.
So he's gone. Good thing is that Tom Hickey, from a Sydney perspective, likely to come back in after illness.
Yes.
Oh, look, at Optus Stadium, Fremantle, but I'm with you. I think this is one of those home matches,
Yep.
a bit like the Port Adelaide game, where you go, just don't rock up to this game thinking about what's going to happen afterwards and just have to get this done.
This is a big game.
Yeah, it'll be a tough one.
I'm picking Fremantle as well, but it'll be a close one if Sydney rocks up. All right, what about the West Coast game? They play the Hawthorn Hawks Sunday, 11:10 a.m. Nice and early one over here in the West at the MCG. Can West Coast capture their second quarter against Carlton here at Optus Stadium against Hawthorn at the MCG? Because the game that West Coast played in the second and third quarter against Carlton would stand up against most sides in the competition. Their first and fourth quarter would not.
No, they were terrible. Let's be honest. I think it's 19-19 since a team has been held scoreless in the first and last quarters. That's VFL, AFL. Look, really sad news. Willie Rioli Sr. passing away 24 hours ago. So Willie Rioli Jr. is on indefinite leave, heading up to the Northern Territory to spend time with his family, as he should do.
Yep.
But he'll miss the match. Nick Nat's a bit sore, we believe, after last week. So, it's one of those seasons, isn't it, for the Eagles? And you know, the Rioli situation is another level. And it's just, you know, that puts footy into perspective. But they're just, nothing's really going right for them continually. They've either got the injuries keep coming, the setbacks. So I think Hawthorn probably get them here.
I think West Coast pressure is what's actually seen the uptick in performance. So they have been a much better side post the bye.
True.
And we know that. And sort of been asking what's the reason. I sort of had a really good look at them on the weekend, sat sort of ground level. When they were playing well, their pressure and their pressure on the ball carrier, their pressure on the midfield, it allows their defence to set up, like I'm talking about with Fremantle. It's no different to any other side in the competition. If you can put pressure on the opposition and they move the ball slowly, it's easier to defend.
But is that a mindset or a physical?
It's a both. It's a, you know, you don't go into the game going, oh, we're not going to put pressure on the opposition, right? So that's
is it seeing one of your teammates do it early?
Yeah,
it's sort of that it grows on.
Yeah, that's where the mindset comes in. You know, it sort of it builds and builds, and like, he does it because, you know, you'd think, well, why don't you just put pressure on every week, right? Why don't you just do that? But every team doesn't, right? That's why there's good teams and bad teams.
And inconsistent performance?
Yeah, correct. And so it's mindset, but it's physical, it's effort, it's the ability for the midfield to keep going and going. You know, it comes down to if the ruckman gets on top and you don't have to put pressure on the whole game, like if you actually have a bit of respite, whereas West Coast for the first and fourth quarter, they had no opportunity to put pressure on because first quarter had 2 inside 50s, and the last they had 4. So
you have the footy, full stop.
So you're just putting pressure on. So the good teams put pressure on, pressure, and then they maintain the ball, and so they get a rest.
The upside for West Coast is that Hawthorn isn't a good team yet. I mean, they're going to go through some dips, you'd think, even in this match here. Great news, Jamie Cripps should return from H&S protocols.
Yep.
But with Curnow and Mackay kicking 10 goals between them against the Eagles last weekend. Now, this young bloke, Mitch Lewis, is looming.
He's a good player.
Is someone who could do a bit of damage himself this weekend. Tom Barras gets the job.
Tom Barras gets the best key forward. Yep, and he is the best key forward. I thought Harry Edwards actually did quite well on Curnow. Like there's only so much you can do with
when
that.
you get 70 inside 50s, I mean, the poor bloke, every time he turns around, it's coming back in his direction.
You could see that he was up for the fight.
Yeah.
He just had some times that he couldn't do it. So I think Barras goes to Mitch Lewis. Who wins?
Yeah, Hawthorn. I just think Hawthorn's probably got a bit more at home. There's a bit of a tribute for Paul Deere, of course, a Norm Smith medalist.
Yep.
A really good player for Hawthorn, lost his life recently. I think the Hawks probably over there. Conversely, if it was over here, you'd think West Coast might get them, but no, Hawthorn for me.
It'll be a tribute to Willie Rioli Senior as well, given he was drafted by Hawthorn, never played a game.
1990.
Yep, and his son plays for West Coast, so there'll be some black armbands out there. I think West Coast doesn't win. This isn't the game to challenge you. Hawthorn gets the win. There you go. That's the West Australian wrap. Let's get into the rest of it. You are on the Shelter FootyCast with Mark Reddings, Will Schofield. Rest of the round tonight, Western Bulldogs. Tomorrow night, Western Bulldogs v St Kilda. Friday night, I was loving my Thursday night footy. Why is it gone? Why have we taken it away?
Good question. I think it's more and more each season we're seeing expansion of that. So
Yes.
I wonder whether we're heading towards the finals. Not sure. The 6-day breaks, but either way, and maybe it's just because we're in the depths of winter. I don't know. It's bloody cold. But
Bulldogs v St Kilda, Marvel Stadium. This is a big game. This is a really big game because the Western Bulldogs, they're sitting
outside,
just outside the 8. St Kilda just inside the 8. This is one of those real turnaround games. Whoever wins this one, the other one probably falls away a little bit.
Yeah, neither side can win the flag. By the way, let's just put that on the table. We both agree on that.
Oh well, I just don't. I don't like these right.
Just speak your mind. Don't try and skirt the issue, Will. This is your job now to be honest, opinionated, and forthright.
I'm about to preview this game and say the Bulldogs are back, Skate. So I'm here to tell you the Bulldogs are back. Josh Bruce returns.
Kicked 4-5 in the reserves last to the VFL.
Finally, they have a two-pronged attack.
If Norton plays, he's sore. He's got a bad knee.
and Dunkley apparently is sore too. So if they can get the ball in there. The Western Bulldogs could return for the back quarter of this season and challenge for not only finals, but they could really challenge.
The other guy they've got back in all seriousness, he's missed 4 weeks of footy, 2 because of a headbutt, 2 because he decided to snort some powder, is Bailey Smith.
Yes, that's correct, and that's well put by you. Bailey Smith returns. So I just think they're adding a few more pieces. They've been under the pump. It seems like a club that they really go internal when they get put under pressure. I can see Beveridge getting them up and going and then beating St Kilda this week and being a bit of a shootout. Hopefully Bruce plays, hopefully Norton plays, and the Western Bulldogs get it done.
Yeah, I think St Kilda's not in great form, to be honest with you. I know they
played all right against St Kilda, but at Fremantle.
Yeah, they led by a goal and a half at half time, but they were blown away in the second half.
Yep.
They should have been beaten by Carlton, who were totally inaccurate. So, look, I'm not saying they're a horrible side, St Kilda, but I'm not sure they're no contenders. They're great to see Ratton get re-signed.
Yeah.
But I just don't think I'm with you. I think Bulldogs win this. I think the midfield are good enough. And looking forward to the dynamics of.
Oh, you think the Bulldogs win?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
No, quick. I don't think they can win the flag. Their form's not that good, and I don't think they've got the consistency to challenge. But I think the Bulldogs their midfield depth will be too good, particularly with Bailey Smith returning.
Okay, there you go. I'm going to keep moving. Adelaide v Collingwood. Adelaide Oval, Saturday, I believe.
7 in a row for Collingwood.
Yes.
That's getting up, and we've talked about in this competition, to win that number of matches in a row. We saw they should have been beaten last week by North Melbourne.
Yes.
They were ripe for the picking.
Was that their down week? Do you think that was, you can't just keep winning and look, we all try
Melbourne
to.
saw that.
Correct. And so they've now won 7 in a row, going for 8 in a row against a side they should beat every day of the week, the same as North Melbourne.
Yeah, I think Adelaide will challenge them here. I honestly do. Being at the Adelaide Oval, I think they can be competitive. Whether Darcy Moore returns after that knee, the good news is he's in the conversation, whereas we thought 2 or 3 weeks ago could be gone for the year.
Correct.
Finn McRae also could come in to replace Taylor Adams. Adelaide's been... They're a bit like North at the moment. Just there's nothing. I know we're if you're in South Australia, it's like the West Coast Eagles are focused right on them. But
yes,
is there rebuild on track?
Bit irrelevant at the moment for mine. Taylor Walker re-signed during the week. Look, they're a young side, and I don't think we probably were expecting too much out of them this year. Like, coming into the season, you would have thought
Bottom 4.
West Coast would have outperformed them, for instance, but they haven't. I think they've been good in stages. They had a patch through the start of the year where they were starting really well but not taking the most of kicking goals. And as a playing group, when that happens, it can actually play mentally on the group, and then we're not good enough and we can't challenge, and then you start having bad weeks and you're like, oh, that's right, we're actually not good enough. But if you win those games or you kick 6 goals instead of 2 goals 4 and you're right in them, it brings confidence within the group. So I don't think Adelaide have had the worst year. Is their rebuild on track? The whole their list worries me a little bit. I don't know if they have an amazing list.
No. I mean, Rory Laird, almost if you look at the stats on the Sunday or whatever day it is after the match, you know he's got 40 or close to it.
Yeah.
Have they got... You try and pick their...
It's not like an exciting list. Like, I can't wait to see these guys develop. So I mean, Rankin's a good player.
Yeah, but is there... Like, I'm still trying to think of their best players at Adelaide.
Rankin. Why did I say Rankin?
I've got no idea. You're going to the Gold Coast for a second. They're in your mind.
Who's the young Adelaide small forward?
Oh,
that was drafted.
Well, they've got Rochelle.
Yeah, Rochelle. That's what I'm thinking about.
I think it's missing this week.
Both start with R.
Yes, they do. But is Rory Sloane still in the top 3 best players when he's out there?
Oh, no, I don't think so. No.
So who's
Laird, Keys. Keys is a good player.
We said Laird gets so much of the footy. Keys has had a pretty good couple of
and Dawson's had a good season for them this year on the wing.
Yeah.
So,
but they're just a bit... So we're trying to find their top 8 or their A graders, and they haven't got a lot.
Collingwood wins this.
They do, but I still think they'll be challenged, and you'll text me on Saturday to say...
They will not be challenged. No, absolutely not. What am I going to text you with?
Well, yeah, I was wrong. They'll get within 5 goals. No question.
Oh, do you want to? They'll get within 10 goals.
No, you said no problems at all. So what is the margin you think they'll be winning?
Is 5 goals challenging? Is it?
Well, you reckon they're no good?
Roll in and get within 5 goals. Good job, boys.
What do you think the margin will be? Just give us a guesstimate as we blow out the time on
7 goals.
7 goals. Yep. Okay, I reckon it'll be within 4.
Okay, there you go. You've heard it here first.
If you win by more than 4,
what happens? You can scull a shelter on next week's show.
No, I'll have a drink in August with you.
Yes, very good. Yeah, I like that a lot. All right, we both pick Collingwood. GWS v Brisbane, Saturday, Manuka in Canberra. So I'm not sure if
how cold it could be.
I don't know if the Brisbane boys will be too happy after
long sleeves.
Long sleeves and a big week of COVID interruptions. So you don't want to be heading down there sort of feeling a little bit off. They had a shock loss last week against the Bombers. GWS, on the other hand, looked absolutely dreadful against Port Adelaide.
3 goals.
Yeah, dreadful.
Phil Davis' career probably over.
So he did a big hammy, didn't he?
Could be over.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, yeah, it's disappointing because he's been a really good player. He's had some great battles with Lance Franklin. That springs to mind. Like, you've played a lot on him.
I remember the grand final, just quickly going back to 19, when there was a fitness test for him, I mean, an hour before taking on the Tigers. And
that's right.
They got absolutely creamed in that game. But he's a good citizen. He's been a good leader, really good footballer in his time. I just think that his body, that's if it's a tendon, he's obviously gone for the year. But I just wonder whether he'll go on next season.
Does it make it an interesting game, though? Because Brisbane, they get some players back from the COVID interruptions that they have. So Archie, Coleman, McStay, Andrews, maybe. He's out a couple of hours before they fly to Canberra. So,
is that right?
Yeah, so does he fly with the team after not training?
So this is Dan McStay, who is going to be out of isolation just before they play, and is out of Brisbane at the end of this year to go to Collingwood, they say. So
really, yeah, correct. So they get a few players back, but I think we've seen with some sides, when you lose a big clump of players at one time, and you've got to bring a whole bunch of guys in. We've said it with West Coast.
Absolutely.
Sort of a little bit with North Melbourne at stages. When you get that big, it's not just the week that it happens. It actually affects, it's a flow-on effect. Not only from a selection point of view, from a fitness point of view, of being up and about. I don't know if they just roll GWS here.
No, and you're right. Look, I think what we've seen, I've asked a few people about this, because it's a bit like when you miss a week because of COVID, everyone thinks, oh, great, they've got Schofield back, they've got Shuey back, they've got... But the effect that COVID has on some people is it's not just a 1 week.
I felt worse the week after.
Well, there you go. So there's 3 or 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks that you're probably not going to be 100%. So on that basis, Brisbane vulnerable here. And I can tell you now, this is the time of the year where Dockers supporters, Geelong supporters, Melbourne supporters all start just bringing out their orange scarf and barracking for the Giants. Because it's that tight at the top of the table that another loss to Brisbane could be fatal to their top 2 chances.
The big O is out with H&S protocols as well, so there's still got guys going down. So he's been a really good player for Brisbane this year. Oscar McInerney, I'm talking about here. The way he's worked with his midfielders in the ruck, that affects things as well. is all of these things enough to say that GWS challenges or beats Brisbane in Canberra?
Yeah, they definitely challenge just because of the personnel unavailable. Remember, Rich and Zorko injured. So there's a lot of issues for Chris Fagan to deal with here. I'm sticking with, I think Brisbane can win they've got more to play for. It's just the motivation levels. A bit like last week with Carlton and West Coast. They have to be winning this game by hook or by crook, find a way to do it. After the loss to Essendon, I just feel they'll get across the line somehow.
Upset alert. GWS beat the Lions in Canberra, Skate. I reckon McVeigh will be angry. They'll be angry as a club with how they played at Port Adelaide. I think they'll bounce back. I think they're a chance to win. I'm going to pick them, GWS, to win.
You're on. And look, I'm not.
No, it's not. It's not a 10-1 chance.
No, they're a realistic chance given what we just talked about.
North Melbourne v Richmond Saturday at Marvel. North coming off the loss of David Noble, Lee Adams has a lot to prove. We spoke about that off the top. Do you think the impact of a new coach can change anything at North Melbourne?
I think from 2012, it's sort of 7-5 for new coaches coming in, as in 7 wins, 5 losses. So it used to be, going back, you think,
10-0.
Exactly, yeah, very much in favour of the caretaker coach coming in. Won't be happening this week. Jason Horne-Francis could come back for North. I'm not sure what he didn't play last week if he's your number one draft. That to me is staggering.
Is there more to that story?
It has to be. I mean, given their list, mind you, Sonia Hood, the president, the chairperson, said it's a great list. That is one of the more bizarre comments I've heard. A great list, but we're still going for a priority pick.
It's not a great list.
Well, she has said that. Look,
just be honest. It's not a great list.
Look, we've got young players. It's an improving list. It's an evolving list. But don't say it's a great list. That's horseshit.
Yes.
I didn't mean to drop that.
No, that's good.
Richmond, look, they talk about losing almost the unlosable game last week. So they were 4 goals up. You know, they win that game. And look, the good news is Vlosten, Cochin, Bolter, Gibcus.
Yes.
All set.
All very good players.
Yeah, absolutely. Gibcus new to the scene, but no, there's some good inclusion. So
they won't have a ruckman. So Lynch, Soldo, and Nankervis all out.
Yeah.
I think Bolter has played there in the past. I think he might get a little run in there maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
They remember Sean Grigg used to improvise.
Yeah, correct. I don't think they'll worry too much.
No, I mean Goldstein. Yeah,
Richmond win.
But the fascination is to see whether North. It's an indictment if they come out and play good.
Well, like GWS did with McVeigh, do they change a whole bunch of things? You know, does
positionally as well?
Does Zeeble go like into the guts and just he's been playing as a forward for a long, or as a backman for a long time? Yeah, put him in the. I don't know what you can change because I don't rate their list. Yeah, Richmond absolutely. Carlton v Geelong Saturday MCG game of the round for mine. Can Carlton win and enter the top 4? Can they knock off the best side in the competition right now? Because Melbourne, although I've been banging on about them, Geelong beat them, and Geelong are now the informed side in the comp. Can Carlton get it done at the MCG?
Huge game, and the fascination surrounds the key forwards and the big forwards of both teams. Cameron Hawkins v Curnow Mackay. We saw the latter 2 at Optus last week. 10 goals between them. We know Hawk and Cameron are legitimately the best 2 in combination in the comp.
Well, I think these 2 are challenging them. I think Curnow and Mackay challenge them. I saw enough last week to think these are the top 2 pairings, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And so I sort of thought about how would you play on those 4 players? A little bit of insight. So I've played on all 4.
Okay.
Tom Hawkins, incredibly strong with his body, incredibly smart. He holds his leads till after the kicker's kicked it. So you can't stand and wrestle him. He's too strong. And you need to be really anticipating the hit up. He loves
play him from behind or in front? Shoulder.
Always behind from Tom Hawkins. You never play Hawkins in front. He's too strong and too smart that if you get in front of him, he either holds you under or he's very good at just throwing you around and getting in front of it. You remember those ones where he wraps his arm around and throws you. So you can never, whatever you do, don't get in front of Tom Hawkins. Jeremy Cameron, on the other hand, we've seen him live. He gets high up the ground. He wants a defender to come up with him most of the way, but then to let him go and then to let him do his own thing, and then he gets you on the way back with big diagonal runs. The way you beat Jeremy Cameron is to put body on him. No player in the AFL likes getting a physical defender on them.
Stop his run at the footy.
Got to be really physical. You may not stop him. He's going to fight
or
for
at least interrupt his run at the footy.
Correct. You got to be physical. You're not going to stop his runs, but if you fight him for 3 seconds, That's 3 seconds he hasn't been able to be sprinting across the wing, right? And we've seen what you can't let him just do that on his own terms. Mackay and Curnow are similar players. They're both contested markers. Jeremy Cameron's not a contested marker per se. Tom Hawkins is a little bit, but doesn't take big pack marks. These two do. And so you can't let them have run and jumps in aerial contests. But the trouble with that is that's easier said than done because Curnow and Mackay are both quick, they're both strong, and they're both agile. So it's not like you can just stand and wrestle these guys because you get yourself in a bit of trouble there. You got to have, it's almost like late body contact. So you're going to be close enough as you're running to an aerial contest. It's late enough to be close enough to the contest, not give a free kick away, but it's early enough to stop them having a free run at things. They play their best footy when they can run, lead up, do their own thing, and that's how you beat those two. But all four of them, they're the best laid plans, but you can't do them because that's why they're so good. They kick goals every week. I think it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be great watching the defenders try and get it done. It's going to be a really good game.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Tom Stewart's still not available for Geelong because of suspension. Jacob Wiedering came back last week, so he'll get a role.
Potentially Mitch McGovern, I've heard, that he's doing some tests at the moment, so he would play back.
Yes.
He would be a matchup for Cameron, potentially.
Yeah, his body's a bit vulnerable, though.
Yeah, correct. So you wouldn't want to be coming back for your first game at AFL level and playing on those two.
He does some up and down work. Should be a beauty. Look, unfortunately, I'm not going to get to see this game, and I'm working at the Fremantle Sydney game, but it's on the same time. But this is potentially, dare I say it?
Oh no,
the best matchup between Carlton and Geelong since the 95 grand final. Most anticipated. Because Carlton have been good for a long time. Geelong have been good for a long time. But I think there's a real buzz. And, not sure what the weather's going to be like in Melbourne this weekend, but Saturday night, MCG, where the Geelong folk hit up the
Oh, they do. They get up there. The Princess.
We're talking 60 plus easy.
Yeah, easy. So, in the biggest matchup in over 25 years, who wins, Carlton or Geelong?
I still trust Geelong. I think my only concern is they would have built themselves up so much for that Melbourne game last week that just, again, they've been on a high for a fair time now as well, Geelong. They've been playing really good footy. So they're down for a bit of a dip, but I just think this is a game they know that Carlton's a challenger. So I think the Cats. I'm tipping the Cats. You're going to go with Carlton.
I'm going to have to. Yeah, I'm going to have to.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I'm going to have to, only because I think you made some good points. It's a good point about Geelong getting themselves up to beat Melbourne. But then it's also a good point that Geelong will know Carlton are challengers, and they're an experienced side. So they would have been looking at this fortnight, the Dangerfield situation where this block is, okay, let's beat Melbourne and Carlton, and then if we lose a couple of games in the back end, well, we've done the work against sides that are challenging. So I'll pick Carlton only just to go against you and have a bit of fun on Monday when I'm right or wrong. Probably wrong. Melbourne v Port Adelaide, Traeger Park.
You've ever played there?
Alice Springs, I have. Yeah. It's I've played in Darwin and Alice Springs. It's completely different to playing anywhere in Australia.
Doesn't feel like you're playing an AFL match?
No, it does. The passion's amazing, though. The crowd, but it's a different crowd noise because there's no stands. There's a stand on one side, but the other side is just an absolute free-for-all out there. And it's great because you can hear the fans. Every goal that's kicked, if any Indigenous guys get near the footy, it's just mayhem, which is so cool. But when the footy gets in your head, it's not like the Gold Coast. It's not like playing in Brisbane. It's not like playing on a wet day. It's humid. It's wet, but it's not wet. Like, it's just the air. And so
Alice Springs even, really?
Yeah, Alice Springs, Darwin, all of it. Northern Territory for mine is just slippery. And so
this is a day game, of course, 1:20. So.
Yeah, slippery.
Okay.
It's just,
I'll keep an eye out for that.
So you're challenging me.
I know. I do understand. Night games up in Marara can be really tough. I just didn't realise that Traeger Park, for instance, a day game. If the sun's shining, and
you watch. If it's slippery, you watch.
Okay, but it is a day game.
It sounds like you're challenging whether it's going to be slippery.
I'm going to be watching this game just to see if anyone slips over.
If it's dry as you know what, I'll be very, very, very disappointed. Who's going to win this one? Melbourne, Port Adelaide, surely.
No, it's not. I don't think it's a surely game. Port Adelaide are in pretty good nick.
Pick them then.
No, I think Melbourne's still the best team in it. I think if you ask me who's winning the flag now, I still think Melbourne. I still think they're the best side in it.
If the grand final was this week.
Not the best side in it.
Yeah, but the grand final's not this week.
And MCG, whether it's Geelong, whether it's the Dockers.
It's not at Traeger Park, is it?
No, it's not Traeger Park, which I think Port Adelaide will be competitive. Like, I'm going with Melbourne. I think they've been...
Clayton Oliver's out.
Yeah, that's true. Only 1 week with a broken thumb on top.
Yeah, you can put a plate over it. Oh, I've had that done before. Nice little scar there. So you just put a plate over the top of the fracture. Basically, you just need the wound to heal.
So going back to 1990, Darren Malone, diverting here, Collingwood great, late Collingwood great, played with the whole final series with a broken thumb. But I don't think at that time in surgical history there was an avenue like you're talking about there.
Yeah, I think like it depends where the crack is. If it's just like a fracture that runs down the bone rather than across it, you can protect it, and it's just to protect further break.
Was it hampering you?
No, you can do it. It's more like a impact thing.
And that hurts.
Really I would say if he's coming back after a week, it's less of a structural thing and more of an impact thing.
And you give it the jab it up once you're back?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so Oliver's out, and that's going to be interesting given what he's done this season. He's been extraordinary. So Luke Dunstan, who came across from the Saints.
Which is a strange move still for mine, but he walked into a side. He walked away from a side at St Kilda where I know he wasn't getting played, but he walked into a side where he's not going to get played.
Yeah, but mate, finals, as you know, finals can be funny, and he's in a team that can win it.
Okay,
and if something happens to a player during the finals, if he's first cab off the rank, then there's a chance. I'm with Melbourne here.
Yep, Melbourne win. Essendon Gold Coast, last game of the round, Sunday, Marvel Stadium. This is a good game, this one.
Yeah.
Essendon have defeated the... I've got to ask you about this, Mark Renning. So, we saw them play here at Optus Stadium, right? This is Essendon. And you were scathing.
Of their defence.
Skeet was scathing. I remember...
And I tipped them as well. That's why I was really pleased with us.
You'd never seen a worse team play AFL.
No, defensively, I said.
Correct. You'd never seen a worse defence in the AFL. Essendon, in the last 4 rounds, so the week before West Coast, they defeated St Kilda, and then they've defeated Brisbane and Sydney.
Yeah, no, as soon as I said that, it was always going to come back and land a massive... Not just a poached egg, but a fried egg on my face.
So, are they the real deal or not?
Who?
Essendon.
No, of course they're not. They're not. They've improved. They got Brisbane last week with half their team out. They got beaten by West Coast here. St Kilda, I've said they're flaky. You know they're flaky.
Yes.
And Sydney, that was a legitimately good victory at the SCG.
So,
at the MCG.
So the Gold Coast get this done against Essendon pretty easily.
I'm tipping the Bombers.
No, you're not.
I am tipping the Bombers.
What?
I think Essendon will beat Gold Coast at Marvel Stadium.
Nah, absolutely not. We've seen enough from Gold Coast this year. I think not the real deal, but they're the real deal in that they're a better side than we've seen from Gold Coast in
absolutely.
maybe forever.
I agree.
Rankin returns. He does play for Gold Coast, not whoever else I was saying he was playing for. Gold Coast win this. Yeah, I'm going different to you. Gold Coast win this. They beat Essendon, who I still think you were right. I think they don't have a good defence. I don't know how they've beaten these teams the last 4 weeks. I really don't, to be honest.
So we're a bit different on that, but that is a genuine 50-50 game in my mind at Marvel.
Going to keep moving. Game of the round. I mean, Carlton-Geelong's going to be epic. Freo-Sydney's a good game. It's a good matchup, but I think Carlton-Geelong is the game of the round. You're going to miss it, though, unfortunately, because they're on the same time.
Blues-Cats, we'll keep an eye on it, but that's going to be huge. Hopefully, it's a bit of an audition for what we're going to see in September.
Shelter FootyCast, Mark Reddings, Will Schofield. Got a little bit more coming next. Pardon the interruption, Mark Reddings. We're going to take a side here. You can take the positive, I'll take the negative, or vice versa, and we'll get through these nice and quickly. North Melbourne should get priority picks.
I'll take positive. I think they just have to. I mean, if they're available, if we're talking about clubs that in a position, if priority picks are part of the AFL landscape, this club qualifies under that system of long-term inability to compete. The list is narrow with what they've got. I don't think there's an argument. They've already gone to the AFL on this basis, so I think it is a legitimate claim.
Well, the argument against it is, now, can you say they don't deserve them? Probably not. But the argument against it is, have they already had priority picks? If they haven't, they've certainly had a lot of selections in the top end of the draft. They need intervention from the AFL, not priority picks. They give them a priority pick and they'll butcher them again.
So what does intervention mean?
Get in there and start running the club. It's happened before. It's happened in other clubs where the AFL go, right, CO out, board out, we're sorting this out. You can't sort this out because this is starting to bring down the AFL product. So you need the AFL to intervene, take over all aspects of the football club and get them going again. Get them going to where they need to be. Giving them priority picks isn't going to fix anything. Well, that's patching over the cracks.
No, but you can give them priority picks and still do what you're talking about. I mean,
oh yeah, correct.
So there's I think we can bend both ways on that. Yeah.
Okay, very good. The top 4 won't finish as it is right now. Currently, the top 4 sits at Geelong, Melbourne, Fremantle, Brisbane. Will that be the top 4 at the end of this year?
Are you talking the order or just the 4 teams?
No, just the 4 teams.
I'm saying it stays as is.
I couldn't disagree more. I think Collingwood or Carlton will be in the top 4, and it'll come down to Collingwood Carlton at the MCG in the last round of the year.
Okay, so let's so is Geelong finishing top 4?
Yes.
Is Melbourne finishing top 4?
Yes.
Is Fremantle finishing top 4?
Yes.
So you're saying Brisbane falls out?
That's correct.
Okay.
Oh, tell me why that's not happening. They're gonna, as we just discussed, their COVID impact is not going to be last week. They've got injuries to major players and Rich and Zorko. They're still losing players to COVID. I think that's going to be a month-long thing for them. They're going to take a while to get over that. And look, they might get through, but I think they're going to lose some games of footy. And Collingwood and Carlton are going to keep winning. So I think Carlton, as I said, beat Geelong this week. Brisbane, did I pick Brisbane?
No,
Can't remember.
Pick the Giants, which is good, given your argument.
lose. Correct. Brisbane, see you later. Yeah, that's an easy argument. Or tell me why that's not happening. Why is Brisbane?
No, I think Brisbane will be able to get through this period and still make the 4. It's not a crazy argument, is it? You think that they'll drop out? I think they'll stay.
Okay, very good.
3 out of 4 we agree on, but the 4th one, Brisbane, you think are gone for the year?
Very good. You're wrong. West Coast will win 2 or more of their last 6 games.
Gee, I'm trying to think. Adelaide, they get here.
Yeah, I'm just pulling this
Winnable
up.
game. They get the Saints here as well in a week or so.
So they've got Hawthorn, Saints, Gold Coast, Adelaide, Fremantle, Geelong. Hawthorn, Saints, Gold Coast, Adelaide, Fremantle, Geelong. They'll win 2 of those 6 games.
No.
I knew you'd say that.
I think they'll win 1.
Okay.
Do you think they'll win more?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they'll win 2 or more. I think they could potentially win 3. I think they'll potentially beat Hawthorn, even though I picked Hawthorn.
They're not winning this Sunday.
Well, they potentially could. They could potentially beat St Kilda.
Here, yeah. Also, you know my thoughts on St Kilda.
Yeah. Gold Coast at Metricon, no
chance.
They'll beat Adelaide at home.
Yes, that's the one. And that's JK's farewell in my mind.
Yeah.
Possibly.
So if he plays the Derby, are they a chance to just rattle Fremantle's cages? Like imagine the mindset of the West Coast Eagles. Fremantle coming into their first final berth in 7 years, and West Coast play them 2 rounds out from probably stopping them from a top 2 spot. You think West Coast is going to put their toes up and?
You think Fremantle are going to put their toes up, a home game for them?
Look, if you ask any Fremantle fans, I reckon there'll be some worried people right now about that game.
Yeah, of course. The Fremantle fans
got one right here. Charlie's sitting behind the mic, shivering in his boots over there.
Fremantle are pessimistic fans, and that's only because they're used to not living up to the expectations.
Well, but that's only based on fact.
Well, what they haven't achieved, but that's that's
fact.
Fine. So I'm just trying to work out where 2 or more games.
It could come anywhere. All I'm saying, they could win any game.
They're not winning Geelong in Geelong. We know that.
They're not.
They're not winning. You think they could win the Derby and St Kilda
and Adelaide and Hawthorn. There's 4.
You got 4. You got them just missing the 8 now.
Very good. So you say they'll win under 2. Is that correct? That on record?
Oh, yeah. I think they could win 2, but I'm going under 2 just for the sake of this.
No, don't do that.
No, they'll win 1.
Okay, there you go. Very good. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings here. We need your country footy stories over the weekend. Keep your eyes on those. If you've got any of those, send them into footycast@shelterbrewing.com.au. Follow us on socials, Shelter FootyCast. Find us on YouTube, BackChat or Shelter FootyCast. Links in bio. You know all the jazz. You're going to have a good weekend. I'm off to Melbourne.
Yeah,
So you're going to have a week off.
I'll
someone else
breather, just
sitting
chill.
into the Mark Reddings.
Yeah, no, I'll enjoy just watching the footy. But no, enjoy your stay in Melbourne. Of course, you're going to have a surprise guest co-host for next week. So
it is.
Looking forward to that. Bloke you know pretty well. So we'll reconvene. And as I said, next Thursday, make sure you support the great function down there at Shelter.
Belters at Shelter.
Yep.
Get onto their website to find tickets, $65 a pop. 21st of July, Thursday. See you there.